The world isn't here to meet your expectations, and first appearances often deceive. Did you know that a firefly is actually a beetle? A man-made marvel, productive, clean, and probably one of the most livable cities in the world. It's crazy to think that in the 1960s, it was still considered a third world nation. The skyscrapers are flanked by heritage buildings and hawker centers. A sort of tension between a myriad of cultures, old and new, living together, a remnant of the incredible growth of a nation. This island city-state was propelled forward much faster than its neighbors, and today it's a major economic hub for the region. Now, what can I show you that you don't already know? Surely a country so small should be easy to navigate, and don't get me wrong, it is. But this is one of the most densely packed cities when it comes to activities, culture, and food. One that is ever evolving. If you've been around Asia, some cities seem to be more organized than others. Singapore is the easiest to get into. You might actually want to linger back a little bit once you see the airport. Everything works here when it comes to infrastructure, making it extremely easy to get around. Whether by bus, train, or taxi, public transportation is affordable and the schedules are respected. This looks like what I need. It's early in the morning. Some good traditional coffee, which is really strong, really black. You can have it with condensed milk and lots of different variations. We're here at Old Nanyang Coffee Shop, I believe it's called. Now, I know some of you might say that this is a really touristy spot in the heart of Chinatown, but honestly, in Singapore, some of the touristy spots are that for a reason, and they're actually quite delicious. And this place makes some really tasty kai toast, just something to start us off for the day. We have a lot to cover in this episode, so it's going to be a lot of eating, a lot of walking, and should be a lot of fun. So kai toast, for those of you who don't know, coconut jam with some butter, and in here it's served with some eggs. So the egg is cooked. It's kind of like a soft boil with some soy sauce and some pepper. I mean, on paper, it doesn't really make sense. You know, I didn't grow up here, but, you know, in the Philippines, we have really sweet pork and rice in the morning, which, again, on paper doesn't make sense, but it's delicious. And kai toast is one of those dishes that falls into that category that, if you didn't grow up with it, might seem strange, but it's so good. It's comforting. The eggs are perfectly cooked. And that washed down with some nice strong black coffee, filtered through those coffee socks. It's a perfect way to start a Singapore trip. So Singapore is a particular city. You know, people say it's Asia made easy, but I don't really agree with that. If you come to Singapore, it's actually really difficult to recommend places because there's so much to see, there's so much to do, but more importantly, there's so much to eat. With the huge diversity of culture that they have here, it's not crazy to think of all the different types of restaurants and foods that they have that honestly, when they're put together, are what form the beauty of Singapore. And I love coming back here. I come back at least 3 times a year simply because there's always something on, there's always something to do, and there's always something new to eat. You're never really truly far from anything. Even at the extremes, it's nothing comparable to other cities. Choose your locations based on the activities or things you want to do. If you want to keep your options open, stay anywhere around the Marina Bay Sands, Orchard Road, and Chinatown Triangle. In Singapore, honestly, it's not hard to find a place to stay. Wherever you are, you're really close to great restaurants, bars, and all the activities that are happening. I prefer staying in Chinatown because it's so central, and if I'm here mostly to eat and for bars, Chinatown is just a great location to be. If you're looking for something a little friendlier on the budget, then Little India is also a great place. Then you have the CBD, you have Marina Bay Sands if you want to shop, Arab Street if you want something different. But at the end of the day, the city is accessible from any neighborhood. One thing I love about Singapore is you think it's a concrete jungle, but honestly, there are so many green spaces and parks to check out. This one is really close to the city. It's the East Coast Park. We're renting bikes, gonna go all the way up to MBS, come and see the sights. And it's just great to kind of see families out there, doing their own thing and everyone having a good time outdoors. And if you're here for a long period of time, say 7, 8 days, I really do recommend kind of checking out the more greener or activity kind of focus areas versus kind of all the eating, because that's great too, but you need a little bit of fitness to go with it. You don't become one of the most livable cities in the world without being close to nature. In some areas of the city, you'll be able to see some incredible old trees and patches of forest, and they've done such a good job at both retaining and developing green spaces. Some of my favorite places to take a beat are the East Coast Park, the Botanic Gardens, going for a run at the MacRitchie Park, Gardens by the Bay, and the trails at the Bukit Timah Reserve. On the flip side, if you're looking for something man-built, there is everything from obstacle courses to kayaking trips and all kinds of workshops to do. It really depends on what you're into. Some of the most popular ones would be Universal Studios, the National Gallery, the Art Science Museum, the Art Museum, the Red Dot Design Museum, the Singapore Flyer, and the list goes on. If you add all the shopping options, this list will never end. So let's get some coffee instead. Aside from the traditional coffee options, Singaporeans, just like with many other industries, were one of the first to quickly develop the third wave coffee scene. Both the kopitiam culture and the Western options thrive. I've always enjoyed going to Nylon, but you can also check out 5 Oars, Common Man, Bearded Bella, Chung Ho, Apartment, Chie Seng Huat Hardware, and many others. We're here on Amoy Street. I'm gonna meet Brian, principal bartender at Employees Only. We're gonna have some drinks and talk about the plan for tomorrow.
All right, so this is Amelia. It's one of our employees only classics from New York. It's on the menu since 2004, and we're very proud to say and share to you guys that it makes us a lot of money in New York, like $1 million. But just this lovely drink. So what's inside is we're using a Whitley vodka, and then blackberry puree, elderflower, lemon, and just a little bit of simple syrup to balance it out.
Really good.
Yes, and it's a 45 ml pour, so looks are deceiving.
It's a chunky one.
Yeah.
I still have a lot to do today.
Yeah.
And this one is?
And this one is employees only gimlet. So one of the founders tried to incorporate like classic drinks with a twist of Singapore. So what we did is we use a Navy strand gin, which is we're using 4 Pillars Australian gin. And then we cook our EO lime cordial, which have like agave nectar, fresh lime juice, and kaffir leaves. That's why on the drink itself, we put this for aromatics. And
So the kaffir is really that nod to Singapore in Asia, right?
yes, so it's like a mix of culture in a glass. It's really good, and it's punchy as well.
It's very nice. So maybe for people who don't necessarily know, how would you kind of describe Employees Only and what you guys do in the cocktail or dining scene?
Been here for like 5 years, and I always like really happy to share that Employees Only is a speakeasy bar. You could see from like our designs and the way we make drinks. It's just like how we want to represent it is fun, fresh ingredients, fast service, and overall experience.
Yeah, I've been here a few times. Do I remember those few times? Probably not.
Probably not.
But I do remember coming here. And yeah, so usually you do have, it's because at 10 p.m. music picks up a little bit, and a lot of the other people from other bars kind of end up here because it's kind of like high energy and people are dancing, things like that, right?
What do you think is so attractive about the Singaporean bar scene?
I could say there's so much things to try on. There's so much influence. I keep on telling them like, if you have specific things, let me know. Oh, this bar offered it. And this bar also caters this kind of people and they try to push to other concept as well. Like, hey guys, already tried us. What's your next itinerary? So I feel those Singaporeans, locals, and those people who work here, they really just enjoy and we feel like the community is very tight.
After a big night of drinking, what's kind of like a comfort food or dish for you?
So if I started drinking earlier, probably I will end the night earlier. So if there's still like space or quiet near, I go for bakabe, which is like a really, for me, a homey food. I brought up my parents there, like my dad was scolding me one time, like we drink and they're like, where's next? I need food. So I brought them there. We enjoy our time.
For such a small space, there are so many options, and that extends to all the amazing fresh juice stalls in the hawker centers and the cocktail scene bar. Other cocktail bars that I think you should check out are Mobar, Jigger and Pony, Underdog Inn, Smith Street Taps, 28 Hong Kong Street, Atlas, Republic, Analog, and the Elephant Room.
Once Brian was done with his shift, he brought me to one of his favorite seafood places. So this one thing I like about Singapore is that you still get places that don't really feel like they're part of a huge city. People will come to Singapore for the first time, they expect high-rise buildings, MBS, all this beautiful modern infrastructure.
Yeah,
But personally, for me, this is the beauty.
it's the authentic experience.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, depending on also where you live, is it really different neighborhoods have their different kind of like hawker centers?
Yes, they do. You could like have options to learn from how they cook, and then you start learning how to cook it at home. So
Yeah.
you kind of learn and add values to your life as well. But the very best thing, right, is eating at hawker centers, seeing the uncles, the aunties.
That's part of it, right? You're watching them making the food.
Yeah.
You see them put the ingredients. So I'm a really unoriginal tourist. When I come to Singapore, I think of black pepper crab, or chili pepper crab, right?
Gotcha.
I like the lady walking with the crayfish.
Yeah.
I saw the crayfish and I'm like, I kind of want some crayfish,
Yeah, it's inviting.
right? What do you think something good that people should try here?
Something good and authentic would be the barbecue stingray.
Okay.
And then as someone who's been here for quite some time, sambal kangkong has always been like a perfect match
Yeah.
for it.
What else do you feel like? So when you come here, what else do you look for?
I always look for satay,
Yeah.
sometimes noodles. Oyster omelette is a must as well.
I think the great hack here is to come at 4 p.m. when
Yeah.
they're just about to open.
Everything is just like
So
this.
there's still space and you get everything fresh, right?
Yes.
But those chicken wings look absolutely delicious.
It's fire.
Just to be clear, we don't usually eat this much.
I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's a lot of food. I actually don't know where to start. I feel like we should start where we don't naturally gravitate.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I don't know if you've tried that before.
I haven't tried it.
Okay, that seems to be like the most. Okay, let's try this. So crayfish, black pepper sauce. This looks insane. Look at that. So in the Philippines, this is called kuracha.
Yep.
Very popular in Zamboanga.
Zamboanga.
Yeah. Oh my God. You see how the meat just comes out? It's so soft and it's so well cooked.
Yeah. Usually in Philippines, they cook it as what kind of dish?
It's with alivar sauce, like a peanut, almost like a satay
Almost,
sauce.
okay.
Yeah. Why isn't this more recommended?
Yeah, palmiri.
That is just full, and it's so well cooked.
Yep.
Perfectly fried, so moist, tender inside. There's a little bit of breading there, right?
Yep.
I feel like I don't want to eat anything else. I'm good. Stop. The stingray, I mean, you should be able to kind of just do one of those to get it all out like
Yep.
that.
How do you feel about it?
Spicy. That's how I feel about it. I didn't realize it was going to be that spicy. Thank God I'm coconut.
Yeah. You want to try some citrus?
Yeah, I need something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very heady spice, right?
Yeah.
That completely surprised me, caught me off guard. Stingray, onion pickle. That's really tasty.
It is, but it's quite intense.
It's really intense.
Yeah, really
There's a lot of garlic in there, a lot of chili, a lot of spice, a lot of dried chili also.
Like fried omelette.
Oyster omelette.
And there's like a Singapore best food, so they're rating hawker centers by how they perform and how they being rated by consumers as well.
Let's do the chicken wings.
Wings, let's go.
I mean, I just love the drama of when they cook it, the smoke, the smell, and the color is so perfect.
And it's all over your face, like
Yeah,
it's
oh, you
very
see it.
inviting. I'm a slave for calamansi.
Let's mix this. Is that how you're supposed to do it?
Yep.
I feel like I'm messing it up.
Yeah, just mess it up.
Okay.
So this one reminds me of palabok.
Actually,
Yeah, right. I'm just gonna change this plate. It's
Yes.
so much.
he needs a break. He
Yeah.
needs a break. Someone save him. Someone save him. Boom. The sauce isn't as sweet as I expected it to be. It's very peanut flavor.
Peanut flavor, yeah.
Yeah.
We still have the satay. Yeah.
So you probably have a mix here of lamb, beef,
Yeah. So
chicken.
they usually use the cucumber just to freshen up because you're having some onions and everything.
I think it's time to drink.
Yep.
Aside from the larger-than-life projects, there's a thriving art scene in Singapore. I was always attracted by the tension between old and new, and I was happy to discover O Stories. They are a collective who created New World's End, a fictitious love story that captures a moment in time and that showcases how a city evolves but always leaves traces of its past.
I'm the director of O Open House, which I founded about 10 years ago. We are a non-profit arts organization, and what we care about is alternative stories about Singapore through art and artists.
We are off to learn about the story of Kieran and Rosa in the old neighborhood of Jalan Besar.
So Kieran is talking to me right now, telling me about his story.
I'm Kieran, and tonight I'm going to take you on a walk around my old neighborhood.
This is part of New World's End, which is sort of like an audio story, except that instead of sitting down and listening to it, we walk you through the streets and then you come to a few locations that are set up like theatrical sets. And this is a 1970s apartment. A lot of our guests come up here and they say it's like stepping into a Wong Kar-wai film. I like that. Yeah. And then there are two other secret locations that you go to. That might really be where the real soul of Singapore is.
If you're in town for a short amount of time and want to explore all facets of the local culture, hawker centers are where you want to be. It's a massive confluence of all the local nationalities. Indonesian, Chinese, Malay, Indian, Singaporean, it all converges in these open, often well-ventilated spaces where some of the best food you'll eat in the world is served up in front of you. The colorful lights, long lines, picture menus, and reasonable prices will always make you order more than you actually need to. But if you're on vacation, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm obsessed with noodles, so I wanted to start there.
What I love about Singapore, it's barely 12:30. All these places literally just opened, and when they open, boom, massive lines. I'm looking for one specific one because I've been dying to try mee rebus. I think we found it. So usually when there's a line building up, it's a sign of good things to come. I actually don't know much about Muslim food, especially from this area, but I heard the mee rebus and mee soto and the satay is really delicious. So I'm lining up because the line's getting deeper and deeper, and I'm really excited. First bite of noodles in Singapore, trying something completely different from what I've ever tasted before. Obviously, in this episode, we're still gonna explore kind of like the favorites, but I wanted to try something new just to start off. Rahim Muslim Food has been running since 1957 and only sells 3 dishes, mee rebus, mee soto, and satay. Mee means noodles and rebus means to blanch. So this is a blanched noodle dish with a thick sweet potato-based gravy sauce locally known as Kway. What sets this stall apart is not only its 60-year-old gravy recipe, but the signature satay sauce that they add to the dish. Can I do the mi rebus extra special? Yeah. What's inside?
Noodle, chicken, what? And soup chicken.
Oh, cool. Okay. I'll get one of those, please. One mi soto also. Yeah, thank you.
So my shop name Rahim Food is my dad's one. Started within 1957. Yeah, it's from my grandfather. Actually, he is from Indonesia. So he met his girl here, so get married. My dad took over, then slowly me, the third generation. Like.
This looks insane. The first one is our mi soto with bihun noodles and with soto ayam, so a massive chunk of chicken, as you can see here. And it's a mix of bihun and the egg noodles, which I love, kind of like that combination. Try the soup first. So I'm guessing there's a lot of turmeric in here. It's like a deep, gingery, garlicky. It has some bean sprouts or some toge with the bihun, with the egg noodles. The chicken, which I'm guessing is poached, that is absolutely perfectly cooked. So tender, moist, juicy. And to me, this is kind of like a very foreign dish. Like there's a potato fritter in here, which I've never kind of seen in any soup. Let's try that. Yum. That's like, I wouldn't even call that a fritter. It's more like mashed potato that's been coated in some sort of crumbs and deep fried. Okay, I'm gonna come back to this. Let's go to the next one. This is the extra special mi rebus. It has an egg that's in there. It has some satay sauce, lots of chicken, and some noodles buried. Tons of chilies. And I love that we have some calamansi. Kind of reminds me of home. Let's try the gravy first. That is just thick and luscious. Whoa. And then let's see what treasures lie beneath. Whoa. Look at that. That is insane. How to describe this? It kind of reminds me of the heaviness of a Japanese curry in terms of sauce, with a very significant amount of sugar and peanuts that makes it really come together. Chicken, same chicken we had here, except here with a very different sauce and a nice boiled egg. Let's get that chicken. Oof. Get myself sweating already. I'm a little scared about the chilies that are here. These are literally just fresh chilies. And my tolerance of chili, well documented, is not very high. Let's try it with the noodles. Whoa. Yep, that's a raw chili. But I think it makes a lot of sense with the sweetness that's in there. And then they gave us extra chili. That is intense. Thank God for my sweet lime juice. Wow. Next, a stir-fried noodle dish made with flat rice noodles, shrimp, bean sprouts, Chinese sausage, egg, and a blend of sauces and spices. This dish is cooked in a wok over high heat, giving it a smoky flavor and a slightly charred texture. Char, meaning stir-fried, and Kway, meaning flat rice noodles, originated from Hokkien farmers and fishermen who made this dish from pork lard and leftover ingredients and sold it as a street food for additional income. While the ingredients are cheap, the flavor owes itself to the cooking skills of the hawker, who fries each serving individually in order to thoroughly flavor the dish, making it hard to mass produce. We're here on Zion Road and, oh my God. It's like 2 minutes till opening and this place is already packed. So I guess when there are lines, it means good things here. It's still here. I can already smell that kind of like charcoal flavor in the air and it's making me really hungry. So if you have regulars lining up 30 minutes before service, you know you're doing something right. I've been really craving a charred Kway Teow, and this one looks amazing. Finally got through the line, got my own dish. Really, I can understand why that line's out there. I made this dish at home, and it's deceptively very hard to do. It seems simple because it's a stir fry, but you really need that wok hei. Wok hei in Chinese, I think, means the breadth of the wok. So the wok flavor has to kiss the dish, basically. And you need that charcoal smokiness. And with the chili, it works really well. The other thing that's tough is you want that char that's on there, but you don't want to break the noodles. So there's almost an art to making sure that you're cooking the noodles properly and then not overcooking them on the wok when you're finishing the dish. And this just has the right amount of smokiness, sweetness, and spice. And it's absolutely loaded with ingredients. Wow. This has to be one of the best I've had, for sure. If you're looking for a really good trek with Teow, Zion Road's the place to be. If you don't have much time in Singapore and you're looking for the diverse range of all the different dishes you might want to try, coming in Golden Mile is probably one of the best things you can do. They have absolutely everything over 3 floors, and the smells coming out of this place are just making my mouth water and getting me really hungry. I'm here to try to look for one of the newest, probably one of the best Hokkien mee spots. And yeah, I mean, I'm all noodled out already, but good things to come. Some anecdotes say Hokkien mee began back in the 1880s. Some say it came after World War II. Bottom line of these origin stories is that the dish was created by Hokkien immigrants who started selling these along Rochor Road, hence its early name, Rochor Mee. Yu Fu Hokkien Mee could be the best new Hokkien Mee in Singapore. Andre started making Hokkien Mee at 14 when his dad used to run a stall. Everything from the chili to the lard is homemade. The broth brings everything together and is cooked down for 8 hours. A mix of shrimp heads, shells, pork bones, and skin make it an umami bomb that steeps through the delicate noodles. That elusive wok hei smoke is crucial to the dish and really comes through. It's then generously topped with prawns, calamansi, crispy lard, squid, and octopus. So Andre back there, we asked him if we could interview him, and all of a sudden, he got a ton of people kind of lining up. It is 5:45, so I think the dinner service is about to start. He's a young guy, and it's great to see kind of like second generation hawkers coming in. Really interesting story where he was inspired by his father to put up this stall, and working with him is his wife, who quit her full-time job to join him and help him tend shop, which is really nice to see, kind of like young blood in the hawker scene. And the speed at which this man works is absolutely amazing. So I think this is gonna be absolutely beautiful. It's kind of like on the drier side of the Hokkien mee, but it looks so creamy. So the broth that he has in there is probably really, really intense and creamy. And it's still piping hot. That has got to be, honestly, probably one of the best bites of food I've had. Oh my God. If I wasn't already so full, I would destroy all of this. It's sweet, savory, smoky. These little pieces of pork rind just add that decadence to it. This is the first recipe I've tried here that I really want to learn how to make at home. If you're in Singapore and you're looking for good noodles, you need to try this place out. Solid.
The amount of dishes you can have at hawker centers is dizzying. You'll get everything from traditional Malay and Indian food, lots of provincial Chinese options, but also tons of local amalgamations, which eventually blurred cultural lines. Here are a few standouts that I think you should look for. Chicken rice, stingray sambal, bakute, seafood zichar dishes, carrot cake, oyster omelets, prawn noodles, all kinds of satay, bak chor mee, laksa, and nasi lemak. There is no one finite list, but if you're new to town, it's a good place to start over 2 days. But of course, leave some space for dessert.
So we're in Chinatown, complex, always busy and chaotic, and I'm looking for something nice and icy. The Philippines has halo halo, Korea has bingsu, and Japan has kakigori. This cendol is Singapore's version of a shaved ice dessert. It's a popular treat that originated from the Japanese people back in the 12th century and enjoyed throughout Southeast Asia with slightly different names and variations per country. Now we're one of the best places to get this dessert, Old Amoy Cendol at the Chinatown Complex Food Center. The owner Yu Ning learned how to make it from his grandfather, who sold cendol along Amoy Street in the 1950s, hence the name of the store. While most places use extra ingredients to make their cendol stand out, Old Amoy puts emphasis on the quality and simplicity to make their dish shine.
In 2016, when I came back from overseas, I decided that to learn from my mom, because as I travel around Singapore trying to have a bowl of traditional cendol, but I couldn't really find something that is very natural and also without preservative. So that's where I decided that I should learn from my mom and start it off.
This looks so good. I love the simplicity. I didn't know that they had actually 7 different stalls already. Let's try this. So I'm not a huge fan of like things on ice, usually like bingsu, kakibori, unless it's really, really well made. And I think the fact that they do everything homemade still in terms of from scratch makes a huge difference in terms of flavor. It's not overpowering in terms of too much syrup, too much coconut and all that. Feels very flaky, light. And every element really has its place in the bowl. So I'll try them separately. The jelly has a nice kind of like savoriness to it, which is quite nice. Texture is really pleasant. Some of the beans, I believe this is where most of the sweetness comes in. The subtlety is really important in these kinds of dishes. And then the coconut with the ice, with the beans and all of it, it just really works together, kind of like that perfect bite of food. I mean, we're only starting our dessert exploration, so there's many more to come, but honestly, this for $2.50, I feel like it's a steal. Next, I think we're gonna go find some Kway. This is Everton Park, actually probably one of my favorite neighborhoods and places to come for coffee, so I might sneak out and get one of those later. But I wanted to start my exploration with Singaporean desserts really with something very traditional, something I've never had before. And we've been invited to kind of see the kitchen and see how they make these sweet treats. So I'm really excited to learn a bit more about it. Singaporean traditional desserts are a reflection of the country's diverse cultural heritage. Some of the most popular sweet treats include Kway, which are small bite-sized snacks made from rice flour. Jixiang Confectionery started its business from a kitchen in an HPD flat. This family-run business started out selling only 2 flavors to provision shops and hawkers around the neighborhood. Their handmade Ang Ku Kway soon garnered them a loyal following. Ang means red in Hokkien. Ku means tortoise. While Ang Ku Kway refers to red tortoise cakes, Jixiang has expanded their line with colorful kways featuring lots of other flavors. Till today, Mr. To runs the business while his wife continues to be the chief baker. While Ang Ku Kway has its roots in China, most Singaporean stalls, including Jixiang, have adopted the Nonya style of making this delicacy. The key difference being that of a much chewier red pastry skin that is primarily made out of glutinous rice flour, coconut milk, sugar, and food coloring. I think we're close. Should be somewhere here. All right, you ready? Where are you going? Good? So this is where you make the dough.
Yeah, this is the area that we prepare our dough.
Okay.
After this, the plumber will go to the production site.
And what's the main ingredients?
The main ingredient is the rice flour and glutinous rice.
Glutinous rice flour. Okay. And then once it's done.
Once it's done,
Yeah.
they will proceed to the steaming area.
Okay. I'm excited to try it.
Yeah,
And
no
it looks
problem.
really good and tasty.
This is sweet corn,
Sweet corn.
sweet bean, salted, peanut, yam, and coconut.
Okay. Which is the most traditional one?
The most traditional is the peanut and sweet bean.
Okay. I'll try the sweet
Okay.
bean first. Is there any way to eat this? Is there one?
Yeah.
No.
2 bites will
Yeah,
do.
2 bites. It's so warm.
Yeah.
Mmm. I didn't expect it to be so soft.
Yeah, it's soft, and when it cool down a bit more, it will be more chewing.
Okay. All right, it's not too sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. Mmm. Okay. Now
Which one should we try? Peanut.
I'll try the peanut. This is my breakfast, but really crunchy. It's not like peanut butter. It's more like you just grind it with a bit of sugar,
About coconut.
coconut.
Yeah, you can feel the fragrance of the coconut.
This I really like.
Yeah,
The peanut and the coconut so far
yeah.
are my favorites. I'm gonna try one more. I think I have space for one more.
This is the yam.
The yam.
You should try this.
Ku means turtle. No.
Yes.
Yes, correct. See, I do my research.
Yeah. We'll pick up very fast.
And it's so that because it's shaped like a turtle, right?
Yes, right.
And turtle in Chinese culture is seen as a very
Longevity.
longevity.
and, yeah.
Okay. But the warm ones are really nice.
Yeah, right.
Because they kind of just melt in your mouth.
It's a bit savory and sweet.
Oh, wow. This is very different.
The filling somehow close as those Chinese pastry,
Yeah, yeah.
A bit sweet,
yeah.
a bit salty, and
Peppery, very
Yeah.
peppery. This is amazing. This is my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah, just because it's so surprising
I'm
and
so
different.
surprising.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a pork bun. Like I really like that. Like if you're vegan or vegetarian,
Yeah,
it's
it's-
perfect. I really like the salted one.
Oh,
I would say salted coconut,
Coconut.
and peanut.
wow, that's good.
My favorites. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna get a box to bring some home. Pasalubong Center.
If you want something more niche, there are also lots of new places popping out, from an incredible chocolate experience on Mr. Bucket to delicious tarts by Cheryl Koh. Aside from traditional eats and hawker centers, the mid to high-end dining scene in Singapore is never ending. You can check out Benny, Candlenut, Cloud Street, Cure, Imperial Treasure for some Peking duck, Labyrinth, and Odette. But I started in one of my favorite places, Burnt Ends.
Burnt Ends is it's a live fire restaurant. So everything we do here is done on wood, centered around a 4-ton wood burning oven. And we basically burn the wood and we use that for the embers to cook with. So you have a lot of clean smoke, a lot of smoky flavors, smoky taste. These are pretty much the signatures of the restaurant, obviously apart from the bigger things, but these are the must-haves when you come in. So, and first up, you have the smoked quail egg and caviar. This one is best eaten just all in one go, and you'll understand what we're all about. Copious amounts of wood added to it.
You really taste mostly the quail egg. That smoke comes through, and then that caviar just gives you
a little bit of salt,
saltiness
a little
that
bit
you
of
need for
luxury
it.
as well,
Yeah.
comfort. So
Really nice.
basically, the menu's based around wood, fire, or smoke. A lot of our products come from Australia, and a lot of products come from overseas. Next one, grissini tarmaslada is a total fan favorite. It's a burnt flour flatbread grissini. We bake in the oven here. And tarmaslada is a smoked pollock broil that we do here as well. So we salt it for about 2 weeks, and then we smoke it for about 2-3 hours. And we blend it with a bit of olive oil and sourdough bread as well. So the old school way the original way of thickening things. And we make that as a spread on top with a bit of seaweed, a lot of chives for a bit of freshness, dill, lemon, a bit of chili oil, and dill oil as well, just to round you up. So.
When I first saw this dish, I was like, I'm not used to seeing this much herbs on anything, but it works really well.
The tarmaslada is quite rich, so that one just adds a little bit of freshness and also cuts all the protein out of it. So in Singapore, they are all about ingredients. They also like the very natural presentation and the very naturalness of the food. We try to source the best ingredients, and we just highlight that ingredient, trying not to sort of change their sort of physical structures, but more of enhancing the taste using wood fire or smoke, but at the same time cooking it in the almost naturalism sort of way.
So this is
Jamaican chicken lime crema, so it's a take on jerk chicken wings. Yeah. But we've made it a little bit more fancy, had a bit of brine to it as well, so it's got sort of injected saltiness to it, but it's got a fresh sort of char. And this is just a take on like a cool dip, a bit of yogurt, aioli, and lime.
That's delicious.
But even chefs that operate the best restaurants will find inspiration in the food culture of the city.
This neighborhood is the old Peranakan area, so you have a lot of good small spots. But this is one of the only places around where you can actually walk down the street from the Malaysian part, from Geylang Serai all the way down to the east coast of the park. So over here you got a cross of cultures. You can walk over there getting good Indian food all the way down to the Malaysian side. This is just so much more.
To your point, really important that people see also kind of the diversity of the culture here. And
for me as a chef, being super well-traveled, it's that's what I look for. To actually fully understand places, you should go to the suburbs, you should go see where the locals eat.
How do you eat this? For me, breakfast, as Filipinos, garlic rice, sweet,
so good, man.
Super sugary sweet meat,
Yeah.
and eggs. So savory breakfast is definitely not foreign, but Filipino flavors in general usually don't have much spice in it.
It's not too spicy, to be honest, but it's very, very flavorful. It's something they've made first thing in the morning and let it stew over, so the flavors develop over time. And for me, you just rip it out, as we do.
As we do. So we have some lamb, we have some cheese, an original, and then there's two, right? There's this fish, I think.
Fish and the lamb.
Fish.
But that's just it, man. All you gotta do is just dig right in.
That's good.
It's crispy. It's not too oily.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's that sort of kick that you need first thing in the morning.
I think that's what's cool about the city is you get places like Brunen's, you get really high-end kind of like tasting menus, but you also get really delicious food for like $2, $3, just as filling and just as kind of satisfying as well, right?
It's a diversity of the place. Anything you can find in Teow or Jakarta or anything like this, you can find it here.
Well, I mean, your location here is perfect also. It's like the world is the best airport in the world.
The city's quite convenient. Where you have to be is literally 20 minutes from where you live.
Patrick is bringing us to Beach Road Prawn Noodle House, which is arguably one of the best hai mi here in Singapore. This place gets packed very quickly, so make sure you arrive early. We briefly spoke to the 4th generation owner, and he mentioned that what makes them different from other shops is that they cook their prawns fresh in an ongoing stock, meaning you get perfectly cooked prawns all the time versus a stock made with the prawns in it. The prawns are cooked to serve, and judging by the thousands of bowls they churn out, the flavor intensifies as the day goes by. We ordered the jumbo prawn and the prawn and pork ribs, as well as a plate of ngoh. You can have it dry with some side chili or with soup.
So this is the pigtail, sorry, that's the dry version?
This is the dry version, this is the soup version. Obviously, it all depends on how much sabao you want.
So this one is the pigtail one, yeah. And then this is just a regular.
That's the legit one, the big prawn they call it. This one is on the dry side, so it all depends on how much liquid or how spicy you want it to be. So, and like I said, it's got a mixture of the bihuns and the different noodles just totally make two different textures.
Yeah, so that's where it's at. So, with some crunchy pork fat in there, that's really good.
The rendered lardons is like the best.
That's insane.
Yeah, but the lard is just like that's the icing on the cake. Super texture.
Delicious.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, and I like the mix of, so you get the really slippery rice noodles and then the bite of the egg noodle, which is really nice.
That's the thing, is that there's no rules here. They're just cooking what they want, and they're being different from some people down the road, hence why, you're going to be busier. Some places aren't going to be as busy, but...
How would you still, let's say, if there's different prawn mee noodle shops, they all have kind of like their own style to it.
Usually it's like a tweak in the broth or a different sambal or...
Those prawns...
So good.
Are incredibly cooked.
Yeah, but they just pork you last minute. Like they know to pour the broth over it. Yeah, it's right away.
And that's it. And I feel like when people travel nowadays, this is really what people are looking for, right? I mean, yeah, you get experiences from higher end places and stuff, but you also have to balance it out with this.
That's what I like about Michelin here is that they also highlight good hawker places, good value for money places where you should go. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to come here and eat at 2-3 Michelin-star restaurants all the time. Eating all Western food. Why would you come to Singapore?
Exactly. People really rally around each other and kind of tend to always recognize and recommend neighbors, other restaurants to try.
The community here is not competitive.
Yeah. We try not to finish this bowl. It's
good though.
It's so good.
So this is a lot of delicacies and a lot of being heard in this traditional.
So the owner was mentioning some of it's made in-house, some of it's from like old school producers, and you dip that either in the...
Either or if you want sweet or if you want sour or spicy. The world is your oyster, my friend. It is very, very good.
I think the simple serve thing's weird, but kind of makes sense though. I mean,
it's almost like a sweet sour, but just as sweet.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good.
When you don't hear a lot of chatter, it means it's actually pretty good.
That or you're getting to a point where you're like
food combing out now.
I'm struggling.
The rich cuisine of Singapore can be attributed to the generations of people that continue to uphold their family traditions and recipes. While there are some who choose to continue the business at the same stalls their parents once owned, others integrated modernity with their inherited tradition. One example is Kongsee Seafood, a former Zichar hawker stall turned restaurant now operated by third-generation owners, the Liu siblings Paul, Wayne, and Gemmill. Come hungry and come with friends so you can order the whole menu.
Welcome again to KEK Seafood. It started from my grandparents in 1970, so it's about 52 years right now. So in our menu, we have food of 3 generations. Like over here you can see that's claypot liver, that's from grandma.
Nice.
Then we have 2nd generation, it's more like the moonlight hor fun, cereal prawns. And 3rd generation, we have coffee ribs and salted egg yolk.
Awesome. All right, so we have tons of food. We're continuing our food crawl. I am absolutely stuffed. Seeing all this, it looks absolutely amazing. Let's start with here. I mix everything in.
Yeah, that's moonlight hor fun.
Okay.
So the raw egg represents the moon,
Okay.
Yeah, well, among the dark clouds. So that's the reason why we need to mix it, because you need a good amount of oil to cook this noodle. Once you mix with raw egg, it just be a little bit smooth,
Nice.
creamy, a bit like carbonara.
It's like when you come back to this place, it's like take a home away from home. So most of Singapore cooking is really like home style, and it's family style. That's why I love it. Met the man,
Yeah.
but then the food spoke for itself right away. It was probably the best chili crab I had. The black pepper crab was awesome.
And now the man's
Salt
a
Bay
legend.
Gill. He's always been a legend, man. But even like, you just remember the taste, and that's what
And I think what's a great mark is what Patrick told me a while ago is you come here and you see generations of family, right? It just shows you that you guys have been able to kind of keep the quality, keep the level. The hot pan, by the way, is like smoky, delicious. And this, I've never actually tried pork clay pot liver. It's so good.
Yeah.
And these are so addicting.
I know. So he was just saying now something from the other generation, from the grandparents. And now when their children become grandparents, that's their staple.
Yeah.
And they create new dishes for the bottom, and they just keep evolving that way. So it's really interesting to see.
If you don't mind,
Yes, please.
buddy,
I
don't
never
mind?
mind, man.
Champion,
United.
don't mind?
Yeah.
All good.
I'll be careful of. Alright.
Perfect.
Cool.
Thank you.
I think that's my job. Yeah.
I know it is. And you do it well. Whenever you go to restaurants globally, you can't remember all the dishes that you had, but you can always remember how you're treated. So if you get this hospitality every time you come in, I'm here all the time.
So
This salted egg crab is.
how was it?
This is the gem.
Oh my God.
How we do this? We use we extract the yolk, salted egg yolk. Then we do it with Gemmill,
Yeah.
curry leaves, and bird eye chili, everything together. So you get sweetness, saltiness, and the light spiciness in it.
This, by the way, tastes like cork candy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had like a shell. It's like a shell of sugar almost.
Yep. We use coffee powder, coffee essence that we do pastry and beverages. We put sugar, honey, and one more thing, apple jam. We put apple jam in it.
Should have told me that. You should have told me that now.
Cut.
That's mine now.
Now.
After all that eating, I needed another drink to wash it all down, so Brian and I went to visit Martin at the newly opened Republic Bar.
Another fellow Filipino runs a cocktail program here.
So Republic is all about celebrating the decade and era of the 1960s. We wanted to showcase Republic as a house on top of a hill. That's why when you come into the lobby, it's like on the third level of the hotel. Definitely, we wanted to showcase a little bit more in terms of Singapore, that people will see how people were living back then in 60s Singapore, but also including everyone in the world. Lion City is in the cinema section or theme of our menu, and it's the very first Chinese-produced film in Singapore, and the story or synopsis of the whole film is basically, it revolves around two people, the main characters. It's like a love story, but also showcasing what the politics of Singapore was, where they're already slowly getting out of the British Crown, so they're struggling to find their own identity. So what we did is we created a fusion drink of two cocktails, which is pina colada as well as a daiquiri, and we combined the two together with local flavors that are, I would say, much more common to this part of Southeast Asia, which is kaya and pandan.
I'm gonna be very honest, I've been dry for 3 months.
Really?
This better be the best drink in the world.
No pressure.
Oh, it's very pineapple-y. I love it. Yeah, so you said it was inspired by like a pina colada.
Like a pina colada, kind of like a daiquiri as well. Every time we drink pina coladas, it's like after a few sips, right? It's like, it's really good, but then it's heavy because of the cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted to like still have that viscosity, so that's what we did with the kaya, is fat wash the rum itself.
And then this one is the Georgette.
Yeah, so Georgette is inspired by Georgette Chen, who's a pioneer in oil painting. In the late 60s, she was doing a lot of like fruit baskets as her art piece. There's a specific one that we were inspired with. It's called Tropical Fruits. Basically, it's like a cornucopia of different fruits in a basket, and we reimagined a lychee martini cocktail and turn it into a clarified soy milk drink. So it's a reimagined lychee martini. Yeah.
Wow. That will get you up. That is strong.
Strong.
With 2 of those, I think you're off for a good night.
Yeah.
But to be honest, like, this is one of our best sellers, like this too.
So you've been here now for 12 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I find that completely insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I started as an intern when I moved to Singapore. So I was lucky enough to get my internship in this property itself. But I was in housekeeping back then, dude. It's not easy, it's not fun.
Yeah.
But after that, like I did like 6 months, then went back home just to finish school. And then yeah, came back straight away. So yeah, that's 12 years ago.
What's kind of kept you in Singapore for that long?
I would say like the company that I work with and work for, they really give us a lot of opportunities. So from housekeeping, I was able to move to the bar. And from there, they really saw that, you know, I have kind of like the passion and the talent for it. Now I'm the head bartender for this very huge project. And
I mean, every bar has something to offer, right? So here it's kind of like you're in awe of how everything's put together, how the concept comes together. And then Ego is just like good drinks, good time, kind of like livelier, right? So
like definitely really good because then you have like different spectrums of like an experience.
Yeah. Oh, to be young. To be young and capable again.
I know.
Singapore feels like a mega city, but also it doesn't. Despite being densely populated, it feels spacious. When you tire of high-end restaurants, you can always pull up a seat in front of your favorite hawker and have great food that doesn't break the bank. When life moves too fast, you're never far from a quiet moment. Of course, no one place is perfect. Show me one country in the world that doesn't have any flaws. However, there's a reason so many people want to work here. Stability and safety are attractive in a world that sometimes feels like it's going off the tracks. Whether you're just visiting or looking to move to the country, talk to the locals. They'll be able to provide you with the nuance you might be searching for. And I know that I'll just keep coming back for more than just the food.